This is how the challenge is going up to date. So for those who've never been aware, we started at $100. Took a very aggressive buy-in amount, which I don't recommend, but it was for for Twitch. We were taking 10 buy-ins. We were going to move down to 5s if we needed to, and we almost did because we lost the first 4 games in a row, so we're at $60. And since then, we've had some decent sessions. We won quite a lot of 10x's as well, which has definitely been helpful. And so now we're up to 924, but we haven't taken $20 off for this game. 904, so almost 10x'd it, which is exciting. Lovely flop here. I think the check raise is where I'm feeling with this hand. So when you're thinking about whether to bet or to check raise or to check call or whatever, your opponent's tendencies are very important. Christopher historically has been someone that is at least capable of bluffing, which is helpful for us to start with a check. And then you think, well, if we check raise, are we guaranteeing worse hands to continue? And I think in this spot, yes, the answer is like a hand like 10-7, 9-7, worse flush draws. They're almost all going to probably just get it in on the flop. If he's got a hand like, for example, 8-5 of clubs, very good chance he just bets and shoves on the river. I'll go for a bet here. I still think 9x could be part of our opponent's range. Checks the flop, we'll check the turn, then 7x is definitely there as well. I like this 1.5, looks kind of bluffy in my opinion. Like we could just have a king high and maybe we're just sort of taking a bet to try and fold out a 6 or a 7. So we get a call. 7? Feels like a 7. King 7. Funny enough, so the king high is, oh yeah, king high good. I actually think in this spot, king high is probably bad. Because I think probably most of our bluffs would I think, I might be wrong, but just in terms of when we think about our bluffs, I think our 10x is probably betting the flop or the turn more frequently. And then the 8x likewise. And we don't really have that much like 6 high, and nor can we bluff with that because it's paired by the river. So we don't have too much like 5-4 off. So what's left over air is actually more like king high. And we have a lot of king high. We have a lot of king 3, king 4, king 5, etc., etc. So I think it'd actually, weirdly enough, be a better call without the king. But it might be good. It's probably good with either both or not good with both, depending on whether we bluff that enough. And to be honest, I think we would probably bluff there sometimes. But yeah. I think often there's that general heuristic where, oh, I got a pair of a king kicker. That makes it a good hero call hand because block the king highs that they're going to check down. But I think that was a unique spot where actually the king highs are probably not the hands we would check down, I think. Now, we could have gone for a bet, maybe, and just got 3 streets. And then king high is a better blocker, because then you block the king 10, and you block some of the king queen, and more of the value that we could have. I think that's less frequent in the check bet line. But it's not. I'm not saying that with like any great deal of confidence. I could be completely wrong there. So this will be an N2 card call spot, 4.8. Yeah, I know it's a really better hand, but it's 1.3 to win a pot of 5.1 when the stuff's in the middle. So we need just about 26%, actually just ever so slightly under. As long as he doesn't have an overpair, we make a good call. We have 34%, so we'd lose a big blind if we folded here. We lose about 0.9 big blinds by calling, and sometimes we hit and win, and so yay. And we'll jam the queen 7. I think that's a mistake that beginners can sometimes make, where you kind of want to call when you're ahead, right? But sometimes you have to call when they're behind, and it's okay. And the same applies to river bets as well. Like, it feels shitty when you get really good odds and you call and you expect to lose, but you should do that sometimes. Hey, look at that. Another 3x. This is going well, isn't it? All right. Lots of nice hands. Ace Queen is a hand we could raise. I think I would just jam. I don't know much about ID. But against certain opponents, I'd min raise. Against other opponents, let's say default would be the shove here. How can there be such a risk? They're all good. Well, thanks for saying that, but content of varying quality. A full house is a good hand, so we're happy with that. And we're heads up against IDI. Alright, looking for spades or a 4. Or a 3. Spades. Spades it is. That's a shame. Okay, we get a min raise at 6BP. I'm going to give ID possibly a non... I mean, it could be. It could still be a reg behavior, but probably not playing spins full time. Could be playing entities or something, I mean, or cash or whatever, and be dabbling. So I think it's certainly important not to... There's no judgment. I think a lot of people sometimes... I have been guilty of this too, where you look at someone else Twitch streaming and you would see and you go, oh, look, I've got a colour. What does a colour mean? I hope it means I'm a good reg. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we... I think it's easy to be quite motivated to sort of prove your worth in the spin and go poker universe. And in actuality, the value is limited, you know? I think a lot of guys want to try and be the best reg, and there's lots of sort of like competitive, who's the best reg kind of thing. And like, it really doesn't matter. Like, whoever's making the most money is probably, you could kind of guess, you know what I mean? And like, there might be a guy just solidly grinding 20s that's making more than, like, maybe they play loads of volume and they make more than hundreds. But also, it doesn't really matter who the best reg is anyway, you know what I mean? We're not playing heads up. I think heads up was a much more of a arena-based environment where... Oh, okay, we want some more of the... You want to... Just... Let me just stretch here. Just going to show everybody his lovely t-shirt there. I think Oscar should be playing this game. I think we've probably got a picture of Oscar's. Have we? Bases. I do think there is so much... Every year goes past, I think there can't be anything more to learn in this game. Like, surely now we've got it all. And every year I'm like, oh, that's a whole new thing I haven't thought about. So many new things, so many new aspects of the game. Like, it's incredible. That I think you really notice it if you play with like brand new players. So for my girlfriend, right, Der Frau, she's a good example where she's a great example of poker where when you start playing, you kind of think you've got it, all right? You're like, oh yeah, I know what's going on. And so she was like, oh yeah, Tom, to be honest, I think I've picked up quite a bit from just listening to you, you know what I mean? I think I've kind of got it. And then we played a little home game, and it's like, there's so much to learn, you know what I mean? Like, just even like the idea of like what is a good hand and what is a bad hand even that is like a lot to learn, you know? It takes so long. So I think we're having a bit of a downswing. So I think it's yeah. And then every year goes past, you're like, oh, there's a whole new thing, and there's a whole new aspect of this, and a whole new thing, and there's so many different aspects. And every week I try and do a little session. It's like you learn something new, and you realise like you're never done. I think that's the thing. It's like you never learned it all in poker. It's always just keep, I don't know, just keep trying and keep putting it in and keep enjoying it. Bobby Winger says, Egyptian started with you guys. Egyptian's been with us for a long time, yeah. He's been with 651 for longer than I have, I think. Yeah, good. I think Patrick's been with us for like 5+ years. Because I can't hear whatever it is that you play in the background. Oh, it's just Trap God by Wabsy. We're gonna switch to our typical music. Didn't really want to see a king. Didn't really want to see a spade. That is the king of spades. The spade's not a disaster, but I think certainly no point betting now. We're not getting value from anything I can think of really, other than maybe a Jack 9 with a spade or something. So checking, I think, makes sense. Facing a bet, I think we have no choice but just to check call. Check. So typically I would range someone not to have too much ace-x there. Still can have us beat with like a queen 8. That's very possible. Fatty Hagen, thank you very much for the follow. What do you think we should do, Fatty? Any thoughts, Hagen? Bet or check? I think checking. And then it's just a question of whether we want to check call or not. Versus a river bet. Tricky. So there's some 4-5, there's some 5-2. We block some of that. I think Queen X is most of his range. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, there's even some room to maybe turn a hand into a bluff and just shove, for example, and see if we can fold out for a chop. Or fold out better, even. Oxus is doing good. The winter cold hasn't damped my spirits too much yet. I'm glad to hear. You gotta keep drinking your Diet Coke to aid the recovery. We're wishing a very speedy recovery to Yaxos. Stay warm, stay wrapped up, relax. Lovely Diet Coke, bit of Twitch. We'll drive those germs away. Isaac, good evening. Good evening, Isaac. No jackpot spins yet. No. So unlucky. Can't believe it. There was a 10 at the start. Also, that $1 million spin though. Oh, hang on. We forgot about the $1 million spin we had just before Isaac turned up. Did we mention that? Yeah, we spun the million just before you arrived though. So you just missed it. Sorry, mate. 10k giveaway. So that was nice. All right, 8s, clubs. No. Thank you very much, iJumping, for reminding us all hydration is important. Cheers. There's not much left though. Got a little dribble. That's all I got.